And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are talking about the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders and how these injuries are going to play into this game coming up Sunday. We're also going to be looking at some impact players on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively, for the Washington Commanders. And so let's start with the most recent injury update. So it looks like the Commanders get some great news here that Marshon Lattimore will in fact play on Sunday. This is via ESPN.com. And look, Lattimore is saying that he felt good. He's saying that, he's obviously going to be looking forward to getting out there, and that's going to be the real test, kind of paraphrasing this. But also Dan Quinn, he sounds pretty pumped up. He says, we're pumped to have him back in the mix. He had a really good week of practice, so that's a great sign. And then Lattimore said that he is looking forward to taking on Mike Evans and talking about how he is ready to get out there and really just prove himself against some of the best. He said, there's one that I want. It's the best versus the best. That's what I look forward to, going against the top opponents. I don't want nobody to be like, oh, this receiver wasn't really good. I want people who are known to be good and see how I line up against them. And so we see that Marshon Lattimore is super pumped for this, and this is great for the Washington Commanders. And so let's start with Marshon Lattimore and really his impact, because I think that when you get Marshon Lattimore back to your defense, I've said this before, he is going to help you bring some additional resources up to other areas in the defense. And so that means that now we can bring some more resources up to stop the run. We can get a spy out there. But more importantly, I think that the Washington Commanders maybe feel a bit more confident being aggressive, because we know that they are probably going to want to blitz Baker Mayfield. So if that is the case, now you have Marshon Lattimore, and you know that he's going to be more than likely ISO'd up with Mike Evans. I'm sure that the Buccaneers are going to try to do that. Generally in their passing game, they try to get Mike Evans into some ISO situations. They let Baker Mayfield really throw the ball to those spots. And then they trust that Mike Evans, with his physicality, his frame, he's going to be able to come down with that football. But the great thing for the Commanders and what we have with Marshon Lattimore is he's going to be physical with Mike Evans. He's going to be able to get his hands onto Mike Evans early and hopefully redirect him a little bit more on these boundary routes, because you know that that is what the Buccaneers are going to try to do, is to really stretch the field there. And also, you love the fact that with Marshon Lattimore, he comes up and he's able to defend the short passes, the curls, and things like that a lot better than what St. Juste was giving us. And so that's going to be huge. And once again, I have no question that Mikey Samra still is going to be able to hold his own on the other side of the field. So again, I think that getting Marshon Lattimore back, this is going to be a huge boost for the Commanders. Now, some other injury updates that are certainly notable in this is that Tyler Biadiasz, after being limited on Wednesday and Thursday, he was a full participant Friday. That is outstanding news. We have Jeremy Chin. He was a full participant throughout the week. More good news is we have Brandon Coleman, who is a full participant throughout the week, and Jaden Daniels, who was listed as a quad. I talked about this earlier in the week, how he was taken out due to some leg soreness. Looks like he's been a full participant all week. And then we have Cornelius Lucas, who is a full participant on Friday. And then we have Jordan McGee, who's a full participant. So right now, out of the players that have been an impact here for us, Jamison Crowder is the only one that's coming into the game questionable. So we have, it looks like, a good injury report as we get ready to head into this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that leads me to the next point. One of the players that I talked about here is Tyler Biadiasz. And I talk about, just how much of an impact he's going to be at the center position. Brandon Coleman, a tackle, Cornelius Lucas, they are going to be huge for the Washington Commanders in their success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because going into this game, The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are second as far as blitzing team. And so what that means is that they are going to certainly try to apply pressure to our offense. And so the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do it, if you look at some of the tape and the film there, they like to additionally like bring, maybe five and drop six back in coverage. So they'll do things like that. They also like to run some stunts at you, and then they'll drop some defensive ends into coverage. And so it's very chaotic how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to attack you. And so this is why Tyler Biadiasz being on the field is going to be huge for us, because you see the center, he's generally there before they snap the football. He's talking to everybody else on the front line, letting them know, what the assignments are. And so he's going to be critical, and it's going to be huge that the Washington Commanders don't get confused. And so in doing that, if the Washington Commanders cannot get confused, they understand the concepts that the Buccaneers are trying to throw at them, and they're really able to hold up that blitz, then that suggests that the Washington Commanders are going to likely have some success against their secondary, because it is not very good. It is an injured secondary. Do the Buccaneers, or the Buccaneers have an injured secondary. And then also, too, they give up a lot of yards to tight ends, wide receivers, you name it. And so that middle of the field, it can be open. All right. If you catch them in a blitz, you can really catch the Buccaneers. And so we hope that Jayden Daniels is going to be able to do that. And that starts with the offensive line. And look, Jayden Daniels versus the blitz, he's got 12 touchdowns. He's only had one INT, and he's got a 114.7 rate, which is sixth in the league. So he is a top 10 quarterback against the blitz as a rookie. And so we just know that if we could just hold up front, Jayden Daniels has the ability to make this team pay. And this goes into what I was talking about in yesterday's video when I was talking about Zaccheaus and Zach Ertz, and how they're going to be really big factors into this game. And also to Austin Ekeler, right? Because Austin Ekeler really was a factor in this first game. And I talked about this as well, that Austin Ekeler had the 4 receptions for 52 yards. We're going to need that Austin Ekeler. And I think that we're going to need a Zach Ertz and Austin Ekeler and Zaccheaus, like our veterans here, are really going to have to be able to understand where to go when this pressure is coming, because as the pressure is coming and then we get into these hot routes, you're going to have to be able to sit down in some areas to where Jayden Daniels can find you. And then we're hoping that we can get some good run after the catch. And I think that we can expect that with Zaccheaus, Zach Ertz, and Austin Ekeler. And so it's all about just giving Jayden Daniels the necessary time in order for him to just extend the play just a little bit, so those guys can get out there into their routes or get to a place in these hot routes to where Jayden Daniels can make them pay. And so that is going to be really key for the Washington Commanders, talking about just some impact players on the injury list that are going to be huge for us. Let me know in the comments what you think here. Do you think, yes, Marshon Lattimore is going to play a huge factor for the Washington Commanders this week? Because, yes, we do need him to essentially be able to ISO on Mike Evans, and so we can get a little bit more complex with our defense in the way that we want to blitz. And also, too, talking about the offensive linemen and how important they are going to be against a blitz-heavy Buccaneers team. Let me know what you're thinking. And so, as we always say, look, go Commanders, and we'll be talking a little bit more as we are just one more day closer until the Washington Commanders take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this most anticipated wild card game, I should say. All right, go Commanders. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.